Life Lessons from the Past, part 3 or 4 in a series of I don't think I can legitimately answer this question videos for me on Vlogalogue. The past. Whew. I learned a lot of stuff. It was good times and bad times. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the mediocrest of times. It was the drunkest of times. It was the soberest of times. Just get some literature in there. It's a hard question, I think, because I think all the things that I've learned, the most important things that we learn are experiential, right? I mean, I can tell you, oh, I learned how calculus works, and now I can explain that to you. That's a cool thing. But it's also not the type of thing that we think of as being particularly earth-shattering. I mean, obviously, calculus is earth-shattering. Knowing how to program in a particular programming language is earth-shattering. It allows you to do a whole bunch of cool things. But I think it's not what we really think of when we're trying to think of what are the amazing insights that I got from past experiences. Really, the big things are all sort of experiential. The way that you look at the world, the ways that you manage your own life, I think are all heavily affected by past experiences. But it's one of those things where I try to say here's a life hack. You really, the question is it's not something that other people are gonna necessarily pick up on. You have to have gone through the experiences to really wholeheartedly believe in it. I think that the big things in life are and the big insights and realizations that you make, you have to get from your own experience. If I say that meditation is a good thing, or that religion is harmful, or that you need to give yourself some arbitrary boundaries because you can't necessarily trust that your present self will act in your long-term best interest. I can say all these things, and I can make arguments for them, but to try and say that you should now here's some advice, now you can just take that and live your own life better, is not really something that I expect to be met with much of a response. I think this is, and if it were the case that we could pass down experiential wisdom, then I think the children of alcoholics wouldn't drink, or at least reticent alcoholics. But people in college, a lot of them, they hit 21, or usually they hit 16, or probably younger now. Kids these days, and they'll go on benders, and the idea of learning moderation isn't something that you could just sit down with your kids and say, hey, so alcohol's cool, but maybe don't drink a lot of it. I think most people will have a story of there was that one time that I had way too much, and that was a bad experience, and now I don't do it again. So trying to just argue for that, it's not something that people are going to be particularly receptive to, which makes it difficult because, obviously we want the life experiences of people younger than us to be better than ours. Except sometimes we don't, because we have this whole fairness bias thing. But it really builds up kind of the big question of how do we, how do we pass on wisdom? Is there a way to pass on wisdom? And I think a lot of that comes down to things like choice architecture, or in some cases, there are laws that it's much more difficult for a 14-year-old to get a hold of cigarettes than it used to be. And in that case, we're not trying to necessarily pass down wisdom. We're simply trying to delay the point where the decisions that rely on that wisdom come into play. There's still no restriction to say as soon as you hit the appropriate age, then yeah, you can go and do really stupid things. But okay, so my life experiences. What are the big things? One, I think, is that there's never any reason, no matter how miserable you feel, to call it quits. Because whether or not you feel like you're sinking and whether or not you're actively setting yourself up to feel better, the environment will change around you. So even if you're so miserable that you're completely catatonic, you can't get out of bed, you can't move, you can't do anything, tomorrow may be different. Despite the fact that you didn't do anything to make your life easier, you just may feel different that day. That's the big one, I think. That's the biggest piece of wisdom that I wish there was a way to communicate persuasively, because it's a problem. It's really hard when you feel like life isn't worth going on. It's really it feels disingenuous if anyone else comes in and says, "No, I've been there, and it's going to get better," because they haven't been there, and they don't definitively know that it's going to be better for you. And even if they did, it's very hard to be receptive to that message. So I guess, yeah, I don't have wisdom to pass down. But I think if anybody has a good way to communicate wisdom, that'd be a good thing. Because I'd really like, my kids, or at least just people younger than me, to have a better go of it than I did. Bye, Vlogalogue.